If you wanted to destroy the Disney stock, you would destroy Walt Disney World Resort. It makes up 1/3 of all the profits that Disney as a company makes. That's huge for a company that has so many different studios, businesses, companies, merchandising deals. Yet Disney World is the biggest thing by far that they have. And if you wanted to destroy Disney World, you would do exactly what Disney has been doing. Now, the cherry on top. For no reason whatsoever, they are ready to kick out Kermit, Jim Henson, and more for a franchise nobody wants. Nobody wants your doors. Hello, folks. Howdy, how are you? Waka waka. Welcome back to the channel that, well, we knock on the doors of Disney and say, hey, when are you going to stop acting like flocka flocka? But they keep doing it. They keep doing dumb things. And here we are again. But this, guys, this might be the dumbest thing that we've seen Disney do yet. And by the end of this video, I think people just might agree with me that this, shockingly, could tank the Disney stock. We're not here to give you financial advice, but we are here to say this is hugely dumb. All right, this is out of That Park Place. Disney to destroy the Muppets for Monsters, Inc. Josh tomorrow will bulldoze Jim Henson's legacy with destruction of Muppetvision 3D. Here's the article, folks. We have joining us Vash, Jonas, and Marvin. We ask that you click the like button as we go. The worst case scenario has become reality. Disney announced today that it will destroy the classic Muppets and Muppetvision 3D in Disney's Hollywood studios to make way for a new Monsters, Inc. land and attraction. The company also announced that the modern Muppets, led horrifically by Matt Vogel as Kermit, will replace Aerosmith in Rockin' Roller Coaster. Guys, who's the evil frog in the latest movie that didn't do well?
Constantine, the world's most dangerous frog, also voiced by Matt Vogel.
Well, I was going to say, he sounds better as Constantine. Constantine is closer to Kermit than whatever he's doing.
Well, it's why when he does the Constantine voice where he's trying to imitate Kermit and take his place, and it's like so comically bad, and that's what he now sounds like as Kermit.
Right. It says the announcement dropped this morning on Disney Parks blog, with company writers doing their best to pretend that this is somehow good news. And over on Disney Parks blog, they say, building off the exciting announcements from last summer's D23, no, it was not. And nobody is excited about this, literally. The new land will include the coaster we've all dreamed of. Please stop. A suspended ride recreating the door vault scene, plus dining and shopping in a whole new theater show. By the way, I would be more excited about the door coaster had I not already seen the interior plans. And it is the most boring, dreadfully dull thing because they're trying to fit it into a tiny space. I'm not here to just be mean and negative, but it is boring. If taking what would you say, 8 U-turns as you slowly descend through scenes, if that is a roller coaster to you, well, you're going to love it. To make way for the monsters, Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, and more of their friends will be moving right along to Sunset Boulevard. But there's more to the story. The Muppets will be taking over Rockin' Roller Coaster, teaming up with some of music's biggest stars for a rock and music festival. In other words, the Muppets really won't be going anywhere. They're going to be down there at Rockin' Roller Coaster, but it's really going to be a showcase of other talent, and probably talent that's not very good. So look out, Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, you get the idea. Maybe they'll get Jonas Brothers down there, and they'll be introduced to you by Matt Vogel as Kermit saying, well, welcome to the big show. We are doing the Rock and Roller Coaster, no? And guys, the sad thing about this is it's completely and totally unnecessary. Flat out. Jonas, why don't you walk us through how this is literally, there's no reason for them to do this. And that's why.
Literally no reason. This is my favorite point about this travesty here. So Disney wants a single IP land. Why do they want a single IP land? So that they can say they can immerse you. Immersion is the most important thing that's ever happened in the theme park universe. Why? Because of Harry Potter. And the fact that those lands make a lot of money based on immersion, a much more fully fleshed out immersion. But looking at this land here,
this is the land they're going to make into fully immersive, Jonas. This little tiny block is what they're going to be like. Oh yeah, we've got a Harry Potter swatter again.
Exactly. So if you take a left past Star Tours before you get into Galaxy's Edge, that's the Muppets Theater right there on the right. But they're saying, well, we're going to put some kind of theater experience in there. They're not describing what it is at this point, but they say they're going to put a Monsters, Inc. theatrical experience, live theatrical experience.
Well, everybody's been asking for that.
So if they decided to just put that Monsters, Inc. ride at the end of the way there, I don't think they would have any problem here. But instead, they're destroying the Muppets Courtyard, which is not a full land. It's a nice little area here so that they can have this Monsters, Inc. land instead of getting their heads out of their own noses and leaving Muppetvision exactly where it is. There's no reason that there can't be a hand-wavy line like they do with Xandar at Epcot and say, this is the Xandar cultural experience, or there's a different kind of monster here in this corner. You can leave Muppetvision 3D right where it is, and no one will care, because guess what? Everybody knows it's a theme park.
Well, at least they're saving Star Wars Launch Bay, right? I mean, that's good news.
Well, I'm just happy that the
Jim Henson's final work. Goodbye. Go ahead, Marvin.
I'm just happy that the Disney Junior dance party is going to be maintained. Big empty building you see right there on the right side of the screen. Thank goodness we kept that.
Let me also say this, Marvin. See this parking lot behind that's between Rock and Roller Coaster and Star Wars Launch Bay? That has previously been identified as an expansion pad. So they had all the room in the world to put monsters back there. They could have rethemed all that into monsters. So there are folks out there who are going to say, hey, Pro, you said they're moderating. Now what gives? They're not moderating. And to that I say this has nothing to do with politics. This is incompetence. And this is incompetence at a level you just can't believe. Vash, can you go back to that roller coaster design real quick, that layout? I want to put this up on the screen for everybody. Yeah, that's the roller coaster you're getting, folks. Does that look like a roller coaster to you? Because it doesn't to me. It looks like a very slowly moving, lazy descent around scenes.
Correct, and they're saying that this is an inverted coaster. We've seen the concept art for it, and there are no inversions to really take advantage of that inverted element right there. So I don't even know why it really is an inverted coaster. It certainly doesn't look that interesting. Also, too, it looks pretty short as well. So are we going to have another Tron thing here? We absolutely might.
Vash, you were on an inverted coaster recently. You went to Dollywood and you experienced Wild Eagle. Does this look as exciting as Wild Eagle?
No, it does not look as interesting as a Wild Eagle. That B&M wing coaster there. I'm guessing they'll have thematic elements to make it more interesting and more compelling, but it looks underwhelming, and Jonas is absolutely right. There's no reason to get rid of the Muppets for this. Again, it doesn't impact the Muppet structure in any way. There's some light theming, which, by the way, this is another land that they're using pre-made assets, doing some paint on them, adding some decor, and then calling it, we have an immersive land. It's the laziest way of Imagineering that we've seen, and this trend continues. I'm guessing this is why at D23 Brazil, Josh DiMauro said that work is going to start on this land next year, because honestly, there's not really much to do here.
Well, let me show you. You're exactly right, Vash, and I want to show you this. Now, we've already demonstrated that they could go do this in Animation Courtyard, and there's no problem. They also don't have to do any of the things they're doing right now, because in between the Muppets Courtyard and the Star Wars or Star Tours, which we don't think that's long for the world either, they've got this pathway. It's backstage, but they could theme the buildings on what are currently emergency exits and maintenance access, and they could put monsters back here. And there's no problem. There's plenty of space. This is cast parking. And you can see they have way more cast parking than they can ever use. So they can put monsters back there. They could, between Star Tours and what's the name of the cafe? It's escaping me at the moment. What is it?
The
Backstage
Backlot Express. Backlot Express.
Thank you. They have a way to get to another land as well. You'd have to reconfigure a few things, but they are destroying Jim Henson's final work. And the reason that I say that this actually could tank their stock, and so it's full-blown incompetence in a way that is hard to imagine. The reason I say that is because you look at what they did to Splash Mountain, and it has been very poorly received. You look at what they're doing to Rivers of America, and Tom Sawyer Island. Very poorly received. You look at what they have done to Epcot. Very poorly received. Animal Kingdom. They are not doing what they need to do there to upgrade that park. It is shameful. And we've got way more to cover about that coming up soon. This, though, this is just ludicrous. Like, there's no reason to do this, and they're doing it anyway. It's like sticking their finger in the legacy and the history of Jim Henson. Now, Marvin, they say they're going to try to save the film somehow, but they truly are the Doc Hoppers of today. And I think that the stock might go down because this is the point where they've even convinced me to say, I'm done. Like, I don't want to go to Disney World anymore. And people might be shocked, Pro, you've felt that way all along. No. Disney World and Disneyland are direct connections to Walt. So it's a way to go back to what it was. And there were reminders of that. But this is the point now. I mean, Tom Sawyer Island and Rivers of America just about got me there. This is like if you said, hey, we're going to tear down Haunted Mansion and we're going to replace it with Inside Out. Like I would say that is, you hate your legacy. I mean, I like Inside Out, but that's Haunted Mansion. It would be like if you tore down Pirates of the Caribbean and you said, we're going to replace that with Strange World. I mean, we are at that point now. And the Snow White trailer was terrible to the point that you have former Imagineers coming out and saying, you really shouldn't release this.
I'm going to repeat a little bit of my previous point, though. It would be like they put Monsters, Inc. next to Pirates of the Caribbean, so they decided to tear down Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, that's a great point. That's a great point. Because nobody cares or wants a Monsters, Inc. theater show. We have one at Magic Kingdom. It's one of the most unpopular things there. Nobody wants this. Nobody was asking for it. Nobody. You are kicking the Muppets out, and it's Jim Henson, who is a major historical figure in America, an icon in entertainment, the creator of children's childhoods. You are taking his final work and you are kicking him out for something nobody wants at all, so that you can have some sort of unified vision that somebody on a spreadsheet somewhere said was a good idea. I think they are not ready for how many people are about to say, no, I don't want my AP pass anymore. I don't want my DVC. I'm going to Universal or I'm going somewhere else, but I'm not going here. And what everybody has forgotten, Marvin, I do apologize. I'm bringing you in. But what everybody seems to be forgetting, this is a theme park company. 50% of their profits come from the domestic parks. Over 1/3 of their profits come from Walt Disney World Resort. You want to tank the stock? Tank Disney World. It'll do it. You want to tank Disney World? Start making changes to Splash Mountain. And all of you out there who praised and clapped and applauded when they did it. Well, now you see what you did, because now it's 1/4 of Magic Kingdom they're tearing out. Now it's the very heart of Epcot they're tearing out. Thank goodness they didn't get their hands on Spaceship Earth because they ran out of money. And now they're tearing out Jim Henson. And now you get Matt Vogel over there saying, hi ho, welcome to Rock and Roller Coaster 1D. And now for the singing abilities of Taylor Swift. Sounds about as good, I would say, as Matt Vogel. Disney.
That was far better than Matt Vogel.
I apologize. I didn't mean to do well. I was trying to do poorly. All right, Marvin, where am I wrong?
You're not wrong at all. This is cultural vandalism. It is pop culture arson. This smarmy, smirking, overly tanned snake wearing a skin suit named Josh Tomorrow is just bulldozing and trying to make it seem like he is doing what's best for you. And just the absolute gall of this company to post that pompous Disney Parks blog post where they're just like, oh, we know you love the Muppets just as much as we do. No, I dare say we like it quite a bit more because we want to preserve Jim Henson. We want to preserve Frank Oz. We want to preserve Richard Hunt, people that aren't around anymore. Richard Hunt and Jim Henson sadly passed away. Frank Oz, they've ousted Frank Oz from the Muppets forever because he won't go along with what they want. they got rid of Jim Henson's hand-picked successor, Steve Whitmire, who has been Kermit since 1990 because he wouldn't play ball with what they wanted, because he pushed back when he was like, no, this is not what Jim would have wanted. This is not the heart of what the Muppets are. They don't care what the Muppets are. So now they're going to put them in some ridiculous role. They're getting rid of Aerosmith, which is a thing that people like that's timeless. They're going to stick the Muppets in there in an attraction that's going to generate no traffic whatsoever, because you're going to have Matt Vogel and Lizzo in there probably, if they can fit her in there. And you're just going to have utter nonsense.
It's going to go 0 to 50 in 3 seconds now.
It's going to go 50 to 0.
Right. By the way, you got to say about all of this too, that they have the rights to Queen. They could turn Rock and Roller Coaster into Queen. So there is no win here. Everything they're doing with this is desperation, and it represents people who have no idea anything about their legacy, and they are destroying the parks. And we just need to call this out now and say, listen, these people are imbeciles when it comes to what they own and what they're operating. And we can now say it's not just Splash Mountain, it's not just Magic Kingdom, it's not Epcot. If they're allowed to keep going, they're going to destroy their parks.
Absolutely. Replace Small World with Tangled at this point, or any other number of things that they could do to destroy what has really made Walt Disney World an institution it has been for over 50 years. It's interesting. I think the Rock and Roller Coaster announcement, that's got to be a late in the game thing. I think somebody put it on Twitter saying that Josh D'Amaro didn't have the courage to get up on stage saying that he was removing the Muppets Vision 3D theater, or at least its show inside, without...
He's hiding under his desk. He's hiding under his desk and hoping that his phone doesn't ring right now.
Correct, yes.
And by the way, they should fire him. I mean, Josh D'Amaro at this point should be fired.
Yeah.
This would be like if you said, hey, we're going to replace Cinderella Castle with a giant blow-up thing that we can charge for Lightning Lane. Here's a giant blow-up bouncy house, but we can charge Lightning Lane for it, so get rid of Cinderella Castle.
Right.
Buckle up, gentlemen. Buckle up, because Liberty Square, I'm telling you right now, that's on the chopping block. You're going to get, it'll be Haunted Square. They're going to announce it sometime before January. We're going to get Haunted Square.
At this point, there is nothing that is beautiful in the parks that you could convince me they won't destroy. Nothing.
I totally agree. No, I'm just thinking about the people who will say that we're talking about doom and gloom for no reason. Let's just look at the latest things that have been put into those parks. Communicore Plaza, which was supposed to be a great thing and now comes out looking like even people who we would describe as pixie dusters are not impressed with Communicore Hall. Or the World Celebration Gardens, which they can't even get the lights to work. And they've now updated Soarin' with a false image of what those lights look like. Or Moana's Journey of Water, which does not function the way it's supposed to function. Or Rise of the Resistance and the constant downtime on that ride. Or Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Disneyland, and also Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Walt Disney World. These are rides that are prone to not work. So when they say they're going to put in this new Monsters, Inc. attraction, the thing that would make me feel better about it is if they're hiring out all of the work in order to get this done. But Disney doesn't do that. They would rather break it themselves. Or whatever they're doing on Rock and Roller Coaster, they just did a big maintenance project on that to get that thing up and running again. Well, whatever they're going to do to put the Muppets in, it either needs to be the lightest of rethemes or they're going to break it. This is not a company that has a history of making things that work. This is a company that has a history of finding an excuse to get you into the virtual queue system so that you will pay more for Lightning Lane, which they love that Lightning Lane, and all their Premier Pass tests are going really well for them. So get ready for a lot more of the $450 price tag for Lightning Lane Premier Pass.
They just lifted the restriction on deluxe hotels today. That was the announcement that preceded this one right here. So that's a clever way of doing that, Disney. We will note. But
there's nothing. There's nothing they could do that would take the sting out of this.
No. Well, what I'm saying is that they kind of covered that other announcement, because I think a lot of the fandom has kind of caught on to, well, maybe the proliferation of these lightning lanes aren't great for the parks experience, but they've covered it with this. dragging all the attention there. They say in the Disney Parks blog post, they say, we are having creative conversations and exploring ways to preserve the film and other parts of the experience, this being Muppetvision 3D, for fans to enjoy in the future.
Don't do what you're going to do. That's how you can preserve it. Don't do that.
Yes, absolutely.
By the way, Vash, they let it sit and decay for a long time, but once they refreshed it, which they did 2 or 3 years ago,
yes,
it has great attendance. This is why? Like, this is what drives me crazy. The Muppetvision 3D attraction is a people eater in a theme park that needs a people eater.
It's 12 rides altogether at that park.
And you're going to replace what? Right. That's why nobody was going to see it, by the way. Now that it's back to new, it's 3/4 of the way full in a giant theater every single showing. And you're going to destroy that and replace it with monsters? Like, I'm sorry. Did I miss Monsters suddenly becoming a big franchise again? Did I miss that, guy?
No, it's not. In fact, it never shows up on the streaming charts, despite the fact that there's a Monsters Inc. show that is on Disney Plus.
I mean, I feel like
terrible. I couldn't get through 2 episodes of it.
I feel like I'm watching, a drunken 13-year-old, what they would come up with from 10 years ago.
But so I'm just saying this again. It is not because of this ride. It is because of this ride that we're seeing here, but it's because they want the immersive land. They would rather go with Monster Show TBD as opposed to letting Muppetvision continue to exist. They're trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
But Jonas, the idea that they're so dense that they wouldn't say, wait a minute, if we do that, we have to remove the last thing Jim Henson ever did in his life, and we have to remove his presentation of Kermit. Like, maybe that's a bad idea. Why don't we move this land back a few feet, guys? The idea that they can't see that is, I mean, listen, we sent Marvin to go get video of Mama Melrose because
good thing we did.
We figured they're going to do this kind of stuff. If they absolutely had to, they could send this land to the left instead of having it go to the right, and you could keep the Muppet Theater, and you could just have your own little Monsters land that keeps going to the left and destroy everything else.
Or not even a Monsters Land. Just don't even call it Monsters Land. Just have the ride, which is the only thing they actually need. But they are, again, so out of touch that they want to follow the industry buzzwords of immersion and whatever. There are no extra toys to be sold here. There is no interesting beverage. You can throw a sushi restaurant in there. Nobody cares. It's fine. Put Harryhausen's in. Nobody cares. But making this into a land instead of saying we're doing a Monsters Inc. ride, this is executives being stupid because they want to trend chase, which is not what Disney is supposed to be. Disney is supposed, if you were good at being storytellers like they say that they are on every single earnings call, you can make this work without taking out Muppetvision 3D. But you would rather get rid of the work of capable creatives so that you can say that you did something, that you can check the box and say, oh, we have another immersive land. Look in the top right corner of this picture right here. That immersive land right there is a disgrace.
Yes, it's a disaster.
Yes.
Let me just say real quick.
Fully functional IP and turned it into something that people in the theme park space are totally uninterested in. This is a ridiculous company. I'll be quiet and let other people.
Let me throw this in real quick, and then Vash, and then we'll go Marvin, and then we got to wrap. This is so unattached to reality. And Jonas, you're right when you say that they're chasing trends. To me, this would be on par if they were making the Walt Disney animatronic, which I already think is a terrible idea, but they're doing it. And they said, how do we keep kids in the Walt Disney animatronic show? Because kids aren't going to care about Walt Disney because he's been gone for so long. And somebody in the boardroom said, hey, kids are into fart jokes. What if we had Walt turn around, moon the audience, and just rip one? And somebody said, I'll be darned. It worked in Shrek, and I saw that 20 years ago. That's new. Let's do it. That's on par with what they're doing here. That is the level of disconnected trend chasing that these people are into. This is it's awful. Vash?
It is absolutely disgraceful. And I think it's just a bunch of executives looking at this and going, okay, well, Monsters Inc., merchandise sells more than Muppets. Okay, well then there you go. that's our justification. And I think also from an operating cost standpoint, you look at the animatronics featured in the Muppets theater, and it's like, well, those use some outdated technology. They're a little bit more expensive to maintain. Now we heard a similar reasoning for the replacement of Splash Mountain, for example, for Jonas by Adventure. It's like, okay, let's go ahead and reduce our operating costs, replace this attraction with a franchise that is more relevant. There you go. I think that's how they looked at this, and it's absolutely terrible.
It just Monsters is fine, but like if you put Wish in, I would be like, yeah, that's not a great idea either. But it wouldn't be a huge distance between the two. Marvin, I'll give you final word because I know you're passionate about this.
When you want to talk about immersion and you want to talk about why Harry Potter works and something like Galaxy's Edge or Monsters Incorporated Land does not work, it's not just because it's an immersive land that puts you in the story. It's because people still have a genuine love of the Harry Potter IP because they want to be immersed in that story. Nobody wants to be immersed in Monsters Incorporated. Nobody wants to be immersed in Star Wars as it exists today, sitting in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Nobody wants that. And just take a look at what we're losing right now, because it's not just Jim Henson. It's not just Richard Hunt. It's not just Frank Oz. You're losing one of the greatest pre-show areas in the history of Disney parks, with all of the wonderful sight gags that were invented by the Henson Company and Disney Imagineers back when they were still talented people at the top of their field. You're losing this beautiful fountain that's a photo op area. You're losing Aerosmith. It looks like a pig to me. Yeah. You're losing amazing gags. You're losing the Muppet Show Theater in live action. You're losing your Santa Claus location that you do for Santa pictures every single year. You're losing, but you know what we're keeping, Pro? We're keeping the executive offices that sit behind the animation courtyard, the place that could have held this, that has the space to hold this, but because a bunch of rich, snobby people with their noses in the air don't want to give up their cushy offices, we have to spit upon the grave of one of the most brilliant creative minds to ever live.
It's worse than that, Marvin. There's a parking lot to the top left. There's a parking lot to the right. They could have built this on the parking lots. They're choosing not to because VIP parking for the executives is just too important to keep the legacy of Jim Henson. These people, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible.
They do have the blessing of land, though, out there at Walt Disney World.
So anyway, folks, I don't think at this point, I don't think we can be accused of going too far in how we're responding to this. We already told you, don't do this to Splash Mountain. They did it anyway. They've had falling attendance for about 3 years now. They're doing it to 1/4 of Magic Kingdom. They've done it to Epcot, and now they're doing it here. Epcot is just terrible now. I mean, they just ruined it. It smells like sewage. No joke. It really smells like sewage. In the middle of the park, it smells like somebody took a dump, for the entire middle of the park because they screwed up the sewage system under all the area they worked. Okay, we'll have at it, Disney, but here's the deal. We are done. We will cover the mess that you're making because people want to know about it. But in terms of, do I have any interest of going to your park? No, I don't have any interest of going to your parks. I think Josh D'Amaro should be fired. I think he is the worst person we have ever seen be over Disney parks and experiences. He is a stain on the company, and I think that the end of Bob Iger cannot come soon enough. And Wall Street should step in at this point because these changes that they're making, which now we are at this point where we're talking about Hollywood studios, in accumulation, what you got to say is there's a good shot they're going to give Universal the shot to be easily the leader in theme parks, and they should be. They should be. And Disney may not ever get that back. And it's because of these two morons, not just morons, right there in that photo. All right, folks, go check out Vash Sky at That Pod Place, Jonas J. Campbell at That Park Place, and check out Marvin the Movie Monster both on Tooneytown TV and Tooneytown Wrestling, as well as thatparkplace.com. Gentlemen, thank you all for being here today. Apologies that we did not have a more positive thing to talk about, maybe next time it'll be a bit better. All right, folks, we ask that you click the like button, not because you like the content of this video, but because you like that we are covering what needs to be covered. And I don't think we'll change Disney's mind. Nothing changes their mind, but they can rule over their impoverished fiefdom real soon. Nothing will kill the stock like killing Disney World, and they are dedicated, baby. All right, share, subscribe, click it and stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep turning the lights. Keep turning up the theaters. And don't tear down Muppetvision 3D. Later.
Okay, these colors just seem to conflict with your natural tone.
Wilton, what are you doing?
Obviously, we're getting Jose ready to throw his name in the hat to be the next CEO of Disney.
That's ridiculous. He's not qualified for that kind of role.
Well, of course he is. He's a wonderful candidate for a corporate puppet.
What on earth is happening?
He's literally a foreign agent by all accounts. You think honoring boundaries is a thing? No! This is Disney! He's got diversity points, green skin, and a wig. And most importantly, he likes to destroy things and blow them up, whether they're from the past or from now. He shows no discrimination.
Okay, you know what? I really can't argue with any of that. So,
right?
You do have fun. I'm gonna go read thatparkplace.com and watch WDW Pro.
Okay, bye. Okay, Jose, say magical experiences.
I already hate this.